Hey everybody, it is Andy Smith here. How are you doing? It is Sunday during this big winter chill storm sweeping across the area. Looking out my window, it is super gray out. There is white on the ground, but it ain't snow. It is sleet. We are getting freezing rain, so it's a perfect day to stay inside and do a video. So the last video I did was inking in Clip Studio over the great Plastino on a Superman drawing. Let me pull that up as a refresher. There we go. Hopefully you guys remember this. Let me just increase the opacity so you guys can see it better. So the last video I took this, and these were full pencils back in the day. Hard to believe, but it's one reason guys could get so much work done is because this was full pencils, and it really did take an inker slash finisher to work over them. So what I did in the last video, if you haven't seen it, it is obviously on YouTube. I use Clip Studio, digital drawing program. A lot of guys use for doing comic book art. And I inked it, and I used the brush tool. I really do like the brush tool in Clip Studio. It really does feel like a real brush. So this is how much I did. And I was really faithful to pretty much what Al did. In this video, I'm going to probably use the pen tool. It's a G pen, and you can see it right up here in the left-hand corner. It's called a G pen, which is kind of like the manga Japanese version of a Hunt 102 that we use over here. And it's really good. So what I did was, in preparation, I like the outlining I did. So I duplicated the layer, but I went in and erased out all the rendering, but I kept the outlining that I did because I like it. Whether I'm using a G pen or not, I like the outline being a little heavier with the brush. So I'm going to go in and do finishes. And I've explained before, finishes are, let me just rename this layer. Finishes are where the inker slash finisher goes in and adds a little bit more of his style, finishes up the pencils. Now, these aren't breakdowns. All the rendering is there. You can see he spotted blacks with shadows and stuff. So that's all there, but it's still loose enough to where I can go in and play around, and that's what I plan on doing. So let me see. This is kind of large. Let's see if this pen is a good size to use. Go a little larger. Yeah, that's good. So what I like about doing finishes is I can definitely incorporate more of my style into the work here. So it'll be a nice mix of Al Plastino with Andy Smith's style over top of it. And you can see right there, I took down the shadow some that he did from the arm. I just think it's a little too big. Here's the thing about cold days. My office is pretty warm. I have heat and stuff up here. This screen is kind of chilly to the touch. So I know, first world problems. So when I do stuff, I like more solid blacks. And then I'll still do rendering, and I'll go in and fill these blacks in later. But right now I'm just kind of outlining some black areas and stuff. Now I could go in and fix some of this drawing up in here. I'm not going to go that far with it because I want to retain some of Al's work. I'll pull some feathering out. showing the form the way I want to do it. So this shows how the form curves around. You know, he's got really light feathering in here. I'm going to make it a little more solid. Spruce up this anatomy a little bit. Let's see, kind of like that. A little feathering here, showing as the light wraps around and fades into the black area. A little heavier down here. Let's see. I don't mind showing some of the edge of the bicep here like he did, but I just think that's a little too heavy with what he did. I'm going to show a little tricep cut in right here. A little rendering. Like that. I'm going to do some rendering here to show the form curve around the shoulder. And then I want to pull some coming down into here as well. But yeah, I want to show a little shoulder definition here. And then on his abdominals, I'm going to make them a little harder. So that'll be black. And I'll just fill it in right now as I'm working. Do a little fade into it as the rib cage turns and goes around. Now I'm going to do a fade here as well with some feathering to show the rib cage. Like that. I do like indicating some of those little rib cage serratus muscles. As they curve around the rib cage, I'll get them a little heavier as they go down away from the light. This little bit indication here kind of helps show where the latissimus dorsi, the back muscle, comes down and wraps around. And this side of the rib cage. And I'm sticking with how he drew it. I'm not like redrawing how he did the rib cage and stuff. And I like the feathering he has here, so I'll probably do some as well. But instead of it, you can see the direction he did it, like that direction I'm doing with my pen. I'm going to do it another way like this. I tell you, I would love to see somebody like Danny Mickey or Scott Williams, Sandra Hope ink this traditionally. And even if I inked it traditionally, it would look different if I was using a G pen that I actually dipped in ink or Hunt 102. I'm not as good in Clip Studio as some people where you look at it and you can't tell that it was done in this program. And this I'm going to thin up. So I don't have to use whiteout. I can just erase it, thin that up some. All right, for the abs, and I'm still trying to retain some of Al's style. I don't want to like steamroll it or anything. Do that. But I will show a little more definition in the abs. Like that. And then this lower set he has as well. Pull a little feathering out. And I'll fill this in. And I'll show a little bit of the abs on this side as well as it wraps around. And then he did the other side right here. You can kind of see, and that's just way too close. It would be out here. So I am going to change that bit of the drawing. It's a little too sharp. Smooth that out. Smooth it out. Oh, yeah, baby. So I'm doing them over here like that. And this line right here, I don't like coming down that I did earlier. And then I'll do another one right here. This would be the fun to ink traditionally, though, using just like microns and stuff. That's a lot of what Scott Williams uses these days. He doesn't use a dip pen anymore, as far as I know. And then you see this feathering here on his abs. It kind of shows how they go around like this. I'm doing a little bit on this side too. Like that. Not too worried if it's super clean. Now, my OCD is driven a little crazy that this belt buckle is not centered like it should be. It's slid over some. The nice thing, I will do it. I wasn't going to, but I will. The nice thing about Clip Studio is you can easily select it, cut it, paste it, and then move it. Oops. It just moves the selection. I got to actually do that. Okay. And then move it to where it should be right here. And the reason I cut and pasted it instead of just moving it by itself is because I can go in and on the layer below it, just erase out the ink stuff that's overlapping it. Wrong tool. Get back to the pen. Get back to the pen. And I just connect the belt around again like that. And then I can just merge that layer down. And now it's centered right. Okay, let's get back to doing this stuff. I'm going to use a smaller pen here for some little feathering. I want to show, because he's bending over some, so I want to show a little bit of that with some light feathering right here. That I want to round out his abs a little bit on the outside with some light feathering as well. And I'm getting heavier as it goes into the black. Now, I am going to do a little cross hatching here on the rib cage. because I think it'll look good. I'll turn off the layer. Let's see how she's looking. It's looking pretty good. You know, it's still Al, but it definitely has more of my style in it. Let's see. I want to indicate some feathering here. Of the pectoral muscle going into the shoulder some. And this will be black, so I'll just fill it in with the pen. Large black areas, I'll use the magic wand to fill in. I am going to do some rendering on the bottom. Oh, I want to do some rendering here to show this muscle kind of curving around. That. And pull some of these out a little longer. There we go. Oop, this is from the previous one that I took out. All right, let's see. On the chest, I need to rotate this more. Just like if I was doing it on paper, I'd rotate it. So this right here I'm doing is going to indicate reflected light bouncing back in right here. So once I fill this in black, the shadow, this will indicate some reflected light coming back into his pec. Like that. And I'm going to shave this down a little more. And then on his other side, do the same thing, because you've got this. I don't want to do a big slice of black here because it'll fade into his arm and you won't be able to see it, but I want to show some reflected light kicking in. So kind of the same way. That. And I like breaking up this line some, that little bit of, it's just kind of a style thing. And then rendering wise, I'll do that. Do some rendering here on the center line. Like that. Something more in his abs here. Here we go. All right, let's see. Let's go up to the shoulder. Needs a little bit of this cuff. That. Oh yeah, this muscle. Just a little bit of feathering to show the fade. And this kind of shows how that part of the arm is curving around by doing that. All right. Let's rotate. Rotate. This has a cast shadow, which has a hard edge, but as the light fades into it, it needs a little bit of feathering. I can do it this way. And of course, I'll just white out over the finger. Or erase, I should say. Digital whiteout. And that gives a nice subtle fade as the light fades to dark. All right, let's see. I don't want to do much to his hands. I like the hands simple. I might indicate a little more of the knuckle tendon indication here. Because he's Superman. He doesn't have doughy hands. And if, you know, you could leave him that simple way, which it's kind of doughy, or adding a little bit of rendering like this indicates that his hands are strong. And you got that meaty part of your hand on the palm, so indicating feathering like this kind of indicates how it wraps around. And if you want to show some direction of the fingers on the knuckles, you could do something just simple like this. And that indicates how the fingers are curving away from us. It's not necessary though, but I kind of like it. I also like showing a little indication of that bone that's right here. That bony landmark. All right, let's see. I'm going to fill in some of these black areas just to see them better. Oops, I meant to expand it because I'm not. There we go. Oh, yeah. Expand. And I can fill that in with a pen. So choose a bigger pen to fill that in. There we go. Oop, fill this in too. And instead of doing total cross hatching here, I might pull a couple fade lines like this just to show it fading to the black more. Ew, I do not like that. So I can just Control Z and get rid of, let's see. No, I don't like it. I'm going to keep it like that. One more. I should probably save. Remember, guys, save every few minutes. So if your computer crashes, you are not out of luck. All right. Here, I want to actually kick in a little reflected light as well on the bottom of that bicep. like that. That shows a little reflected light. I'm going to beef it up a little more, but before I do, a little feathering right here. And then to beef that up, take a little of the white. I shouldn't say beef it up. I should say, well, yeah, I am. I'm beefing up the reflected light area. Get you a little sense of reflected light. And then as it goes to as the muscle wraps around and goes in, it would get a little darker. So something like that I like. These need to be a little thicker. The fade isn't that great. That's what's bothering me. And right here, I want it to be like that. That works better for me. Nice. More there. Cool. Clean that up some. There. Okay. Oh, and then what you can do too is a little feathering like this kind of shows the light, reflect the light coming down and fading into the darkness there. So, and on this hand, I can do the same thing. I know the anatomy well enough to just kind of fudge it in here. And if I want to show a little reflected light coming on the bottom of this arm, I could kind of continue this right here through. And a little feathering like this kind of shows the form as how it wraps around there. I want to keep that clean though. So you get a little sense of reflected light there as well. So, you know, I've got a lot of, so since I'm doing heavier blacks here, like the shoulders and that, I'm going to do heavier black on this rib cage. So I'm actually going to dump out and redo this. Sometimes it's helpful when I do finishes over somebody, once I get going, to turn off what they did. Not turn off, but stop looking at it. You know, if I was doing this on blue line, I wouldn't have an option to be able to do that. And if I was doing this blue line, I might actually do a little penciling first. But because I'm doing it digitally, I can just erase stuff out like this. So anyhow, to kind of make it a little more consistent, I might see what shape like this kind of looks like. The rib cage coming in. And in here, I would do the little feathering thin to thick as it goes into the black like that. And then let me just fill this in, see how it looks. And I like it. And it fits in more with my style. And since I'm doing finishes, that's obviously I want to have a nice mix of my style and his. Yeah, I think that looks cool. Now I could take a thinner pen. Let's see how this looks. Kind of like this thin feathering here coming off of his oblique. I could do something like that here. Let's see. I like that. I think that looks pretty cool. Oh, I forgot to fill this in. I'll just do that with this pen. So I'll have to switch to a magic wand. There. Get rid of that little bit. And I might kick open this reflected light just a tad bit more on his chest. I like that, and then maybe pull a little feathering. Oh yeah, I think that looks pretty freaking cool. All right, let's go up to his face and do some rendering on his face. Let's hit save. I want to make it a little larger for me to see it easier. All right, you can see where I erased out. So I'm actually going to redo this much with the pen. I don't know why my heat just turned off, but I need to turn it up because it is getting chilly in this house. Hopefully that'll kick it on. Okay. I'm still going to do the shadow under here like he has it. Still going to do a little Adam's apple rendering, but I will change it some because Superman has a beefy neck. So the Adam's apple eye show goes right into the sternomastoid, which is right here. I'm going to thicken it up some. Let me do the shadow from the ear. Let's see. A little feathering coming out of the Adam's apple there. And then with a smaller pen, do some faint feathering showing the other side as it wraps in. Get his neck going here. Because he's Superman. This is the other sternomastoid, and this is the inside of it. A little bit of rendering here as it wraps in. A little feathering here to show how it wraps around. Do the hairline back here. Superman's very clean cut, but you can do stuff like cross-hatching like this to show kind of like the hair fade that the barber gave him. Nice tight fade. Poof his hair out from the cap a little bit. Individual hairs if you want. I actually don't like this at all. I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to say he has some light little hairs that are wisping around, so it's not as clean a cut. Lois needs to get on him, clean that hair up. That, there we go. going to show the other side. I'm going to thicken this up. His sternomastoid. He's Superman. He's got a big neck muscle. There we go. And then there's a little area, triangle area here, where the sternomastoid comes in, and then the other side of the neck muscle next to the sternomastoid. This is the outside of the sternomastoid. It'd be pretty funny if I was actually getting my muscle names wrong. I don't care. And then there's this other muscle that connects over here that comes up from it as well. And then you've got the back of the neck here. Indicate gently. All right, let's fill this in. And if this was a real job, I would be doing the whole thing traditional. The only stuff I've ever inked digitally of mine is a few things I've done for like advertising and stuff, because it's just easier if they need something changed. So I will add another little wrinkle in the cape like that. And then this one, I could even add a gray to fade it. All right. Brows heavy, bridge of the nose, a little lighter. As it comes and wraps around, it gets heavy. Thin upper lip. Remember, I like the line contrast. A little thicker down there. Now, if you remember how it was done in brush, I'll show you. I kept it really just indicating stuff with thick brushstroke blacks. But on this one, with the pen, I'm going to actually draw a little more. So his eyebrow, fade it some towards the end. Turn the paper some. His eye, I might actually indicate as he's looking at the guy. Upper lid. Lower lid. Give him a little bit of crow's feet, not too many. The hair I would render a little more too. Just do that one, thinking of it. But I would just pull stuff out of the blacks I already did with the brush. I wouldn't really do it that much different. Like that. Nostril. I'm actually going to show. A little more white right there. Still has that kind of smirky smile where his upper lip, he's kind of biting into his upper lip a little bit. I do like that, so I'm going to keep that. But if you do that, like if you bite on your upper lip or pull your upper lip in, you can kind of feel it pulling in this way. So you could actually do lines like this to indicate it. But you don't have to, and I'm not going to. I don't like them. But I will show the muscle going back some. He's not doing a huge smile, so it's not pushing this whole cheek muscle up. I'm going to do these with the pen too. I still like them, but I'd rather do them with the pen. So just subtle. I like that type of line there. And you can see his cheekbone here, because even Al knows he's not pushing his cheek muscle up to make that fully round. So he indicated some of Superman's cheek, which I like, and I'm going to do. I still like this, but I want to do it with a pen, not the brush that I had. A couple little thin lines here indicate the earlobe. And then more of his cheekbone, real faint feathering lines like this indicate the shape. His jaw here. I know I mentioned last time that we all have, if you feel the side of your face by your ear right here, and you bite down and clench your teeth, you can feel that muscle flexing. There's a few ways to indicate that, and I actually am going to on this, because Superman has a tight jawline. One way is this. I don't want to keep them real faint. And then, of course, if you want, you could cross hatch it as well. I got to really rotate the paper. And then by doing that, you get that faint sense of that muscle right there that he has. I kind of like it. I think I'm going to leave it. I'm going to do a little feathering right here too, though, to help show the form. That. Let's see. Yeah, I kind of like that. I'll do a little more here. All right, let's see. I'll blow it up bigger. That's big enough for me to see, but not for you guys. So this is what we got going on. And it's kind of, I don't know if you would still know that it's Al Plastino. I think you would definitely know it's not me that did the whole drawing from start to finish. But you might not know that it was Al because of the finishing rendering and stuff I added and did. I am going to work on this dude a little bit too with the pen. I'm going to make his eyebrows more hairy, out of control in a way. If you guys remember a commentator named Andy Rooney, he was on 60 Minutes. He closed out every week. He was funny. He had these huge, bushy, out of control eyebrows. And then I am going to show his eye too. Heavy lid, because he's an older dude. Looking up at Superman. He's going to have more lower baggy lid because he's an older dude. He'll have more crow's feet. Forehead wrinkles as well. Superman needs to learn to respect his elders. You can do a little rendering like this that shows the brow and the form of the brow. His cheekbone is going to be a little more pronounced. And I'm going to give him more wrinkles as well because he's an older guy. A little shadow under his lip. And on him, I will indicate some of his upper lip. Thin, but it's there because he's an older guy. His nostrils are going to be bigger. It's really flared because he's giving it to Superman. Yeah, flare that nostril. Old dudes have big nostrils. Maybe even show the ridge of his nose. Some wrinkles here coming out as he's bitching at Superman. More wrinkles coming down his face. And indicate his cheekbone. Slightly, maybe back here, you can really see more of it. Have his hair kind of fade down here, kind of sloppily. Maybe his hair's long enough to go over his ear some. Skin pulls down. So as jawline fades back. His earlobes, you know, old guys, our earlobes get a little bigger. It's like the ears never stop growing, so give him a little bit bigger of an earlobe. Of course, it's going to change the shadow. Show some skin pulling here. Yeah, this guy's giving it to him. Oh, yeah. Superman's like, gross, dude. Why you gotta be spitting on me? Wear a mask, son. He's got wrinkles from his neck. Indicate like this shows the top of that veiny type wrinkle. And then some thin feathery lines here will indicate the edge of his jaw, but it's not as tight, obviously, as Superman's. You know, if you want to emphasize his chin more, and I'm still thinking about the way the form goes. His sternomastoid is there, but it's not as defined as Superman's. And then maybe underneath his neck, I'll do some feathering like this just to indicate that it's not receiving as much light. The wrinkles. And if you want, because his face isn't going to be as taunt, you could, I'll have to redo this whole thing. But this comes down, and if you think three-dimensionally, it goes down under his chin and probably wraps around to the other side. So his chin's not going to be as nice and straight as Superman's. And as it goes down underneath, you could gray that out some too, to indicate it's catching less light. Like that. His hair's not as neat. Maybe he has some hair sticking out like this too, from underneath the cap. Get a haircut, son. And of course, the cap's there. And the cap, I can just do it real quick. Other side. Little knot thing on top of the cap. holes right here from the cap. Fill that in black. There you go. It looks like he's got some. It's weird because he doesn't shade the back of Superman's cap, but he does this guy. We'll give this guy more detail on his hair to kind of show it's messy too. So he's not super old. He still has, you know, dark hair. And then as it fades to the back like this, that can all go to solid black. So just fill that in. Press a little harder on the pen. And who knows? Maybe this guy's got a little bit of stubble too. Not a ton, just some, you know. He's unkept. You know, maybe it's just spotty, even on his neck. Got Walter Matthau. If you don't know who Walter Matthau is, he's a fantastic actor. Him and Jack Lemmon, look it up. But for some reason, he doesn't have any hair here. All right, I'll give him a little bit. Just sporadic. It's happy hair. Just sporadic happy hair. Like that. And let's turn off the pencils. See, now this face, you'd have no idea that was, you know, Al Plastino, probably. And the thing I like about doing a little white is adds a little depth to it. There you go. Yeah, so you really wouldn't know that this face is Al Plastino. I think the Superman one, you would still know that that's not a me face that I drew. That's what I mean. When you're doing finishes, you can impart some of your drawing style into it. And because this guy's older, his hand is going to reflect it as well. So his knuckles are probably way more pronounced. The wrinkles in his skin. Now, let's see. Probably has a nail that goes all the way over his tip of his finger. A lot of old guys do. A lot of old guys have these real long nails. You're just like, dude, seriously, cut your nails. And then even the wrinkles by the joints and stuff are more pronounced. Like that. Pads underneath are a little thicker on those older dudes. Probably see, got the tendon. It divots in like that because where the bone ends. And the thumb is going back, so you can indicate it with a subtle fade like that. And then, you know, he might have some wrinkles that come around here ever so subtly as well. And then on the clothing, I would always do something like this to show the form of how the wrinkle wraps around, fade a little more subtly. Might do some really thin rendering here as well to show this wrapping around. I might do a fade like this. Same here, do something like this with the rendering to kind of show the sleeve and how it wraps around. I was born in the wrong generation. Man, this is fun. If I could have inked these guys back in the day. See that? And then, just for the heck of it, the sleeve. This is a cast shadow from the sleeve. Wrinkle. Pulls like that. I might do a little rendering there just to show the form. Of the cast shadow. Let me reduce this so I can see the sleeve more. There we go. It's got this wrinkle here because the arm is bent some. This. I might add something like this. Just throw some more in here for the heck of it, as the shadow from the sleeve falls onto the sleeve below to show this wrinkle pops up some, add a little depth to it. That. This comes around. This is just showing as the arm pulls back. And cut this in a little bit, and that shows a little more depth to the wrinkle. Sleeve comes down. You can see a little slight rendering here. Show the form. And then he's got a pull here. Couple little pulls here, which I'm just going to indicate really thin. You can see these here are bigger. So I'm going to make them a little thicker. To help show the form. Now I'm just kind of playing around. But I pretty much achieved what I wanted to with this. So let's zoom out on it. And see what the finish is. And it's not totally done. The hat needs a little more. The ball cap on him. Obviously Superman and stuff. You know what? I'm going to do, last thing, I got to do it. I know I'm over an hour. I got to do this leg coming forward just to show you how I would do it. I'll stick to his outline pretty much using the G pen. I did pull out the muscle a little bit towards the bottom. He's got the knee out and then down. I want to round that some because that's how the kneecap would look. All right. So if I was doing this, I would do this. He's got it going all the way black on his crotch. I'm doing a little reflected light because I want to cast the shadow down onto this leg, and then I'm going to thicken up. And if I was inking this for real, if I was using a brush, I would just take care of all that black at the same time. But using a pen, if I was inking this on paper, I would pretty much outline it. And I'll stick to the feathering and form he has. And this is the thigh muscle and how it goes up. And I like doing fades like that. Then I would swoop it down the way the muscle goes. It's a teardrop shape. Once again, I like doing fades like this. Indicating the knee. And this would has an edge. That's why I'm thickening it here. Calf cuts in. Back of the leg. And then this would fall into shadow as well with how I'm doing it. So this will all be black, which I can show you. Let's see. Oops, that's right. I'll just fill it in with the pen. It'll be easier and quicker. When you use the magic wand, I know there's got to be a way to do it, but it's selecting everything, even the layer below it. And for it not to do that, I need to turn that layer off, or there's probably something in the settings in Clip Studio where I can do it so the magic wand only selects the active layer. I just don't know how. I don't feel like fussing with it, so I'm just doing this. Like that. And then, gotta fill this in too. And then what I would do is I would fade this the same way, just like this. And basically, I'm indicating the shin. You can feel the bone on your own leg, and I'm indicating it starting to smooth out some. Do those a little more. So, I mean, I could just leave it like that and see you get a better sense of form with the thin up top, thick here. Or I could go in and add some feathering here to show how this muscle wraps around. Like that. I could add some feathering here because your leg gets a little flatter right here as the form wraps around, the way the musculature is. You know, as this goes into darkness here, I could add some feathering, you know, to show how it fades here. I've been known to do stuff like this because it kind of indicates that plane of the shin bone. You know, and then the kneecap, I could do this too to indicate more of the form as the knee wraps around. So lots of stuff. I mean, honestly, I could, if I want to show a slight indication of the main teardrop muscle that goes down the middle of your thigh in the front, I could do it really thin like this. And then where it hits this muscle, I could just do something like that. You can do a little feathering out of it to show how it ties in. So, I mean, you can get as detailed as you want, but the thing is, doing the finishes, I need to keep it consistent throughout, you know, and at the same time, the focus is up here on his upper body, not really down here. So I probably wouldn't do any of that stuff on his leg, and I would just keep it more simple. And also for the fact that Al's style is simple. So even though I'm doing finishes, I don't want to completely steamroll over top of it. I mean, I kind of did, but I think you get the idea. So thank you for watching the second part, where the first part was doing straight up just inking, sticking to what Al drew, and this was doing more finish inks over Al's work. So thanks for watching. Of course, like, subscribe, and share my channel, and go back Lilineth Infernal Conflict, the kick-ass book starring Lilineth spinning out of the world of Kor-Drath on Indiegogo. It's still live. You can get it. If you're new to the world of Kor-Drath, there's a catch-up tier as well where you can get Kor-Drath Volume 1 and 2 and Lilineth as a 3-pack, or just Lilineth, which is a standalone story. So you don't have to read the other two if you don't want to, but we would appreciate it You'll dig it. I drew it. Dennis Turner and I created it. You'll love it. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye, everybody.